Hey guys, my name is Loveless, and this time we're back with Quirk Knife, Chapter 40. We are officially halfway through this thing. Officially. Finally. Okay, so this one is going to be a doozy. I just know it. So, let's get straight into it. Izuku looked at the UA uniform Shota brought home Sunday night. The black haired man was holding it awkwardly with his lips pulled in a tight line. Are you gonna take them or I got both the pants and the skirt. I didn't know what you wanted. I don't want to go to school. Shota nodded slowly and sat on the mattress of Izuku's empty bed, eyebrows pulled together in thought. Shinto told me that you and Bakugo knew each other when you were kids, right? Wouldn't it be nice to see an old friend again? Izuku was holding back a laugh as he buried his head further into the mountain of blankets. Fuck off, Izuku, Shota warned. You agreed to these terms. I don't understand why you don't want to go to school. Is it because Atoga and Toya won't be there with you all the time? You'll see them at lunch and heroics training. Izuku didn't want to leave his little homemade nest because he just didn't. Everything was annoying him as he waved a hand around. Shota, go away. You need to take a bath and go to bed early. No! Shota ripped the blankets off Izuku and was pulled off the ground, pinning between Shota's hip and arm with a vice grip. He tried kicking his legs to the best of his ability. He heard the bath running. You planned this, traitor! You're like a goddamn cat, Toya snorted as he passed with his cup of ramen noodles on the way back to his room. Be good. Fuck you. Izuku was too tired to continue fighting as he was unceremoniously placed on the closed toilet lid. Shota tugged his socks off and placed the elastic out of his hair. The minute the man reached for the collar of Izuku's shirt, his green eyes snapped as he remembered and he dodged his hands, smacking his head against the wall behind him. Izuku, Shota scolded. Stay still. I don't don't need you to be in here with me, Izuku cried with finicky movements, legs flying again as Shota was knocked backwards, his hands reaching out to pull on the shower curtain down with him, causing a loud bang. Several pairs of feet stampeded for the bathroom where Hizashi was first to arrive and Hitoshi second, both peering in nervously. Sorry, the brunette squeaked loudly as he rubbed the back of his skull. But I don't want to be naked here. What? Shota, Shota stopped himself from losing his cool. What do you mean? I've been helping you dress yourself for over a week now. Izuku's face went red as he waved his hands. Out. Shota pursed his lips as Hizashi and Hitoshi fixed the shower curtain until the man sighed. Fine. Door stays unlocked though. And you have to let Hizashi brush your hair after this. Deal? Deal. Out. As the room cleared, Izuku quickly slipped from his clothes. He avoided looking at the mirror as he peeled off the bandages from his arms, cringing as dried blood and using toilet paper to hide the evidence in the garbage. No one could know. He couldn't be weak, right? Izuku unconsciously grabbed one of Shota's hands as they walked through the parking lot. Toga was skipping happily in her new UA uniform, and Toya simply dressed nicer than usual since he refused to wear a schoolboy uniform. Shota flinched slightly in surprise, but didn't pull his hand back, only to give a tight squeeze in return, as Hitoshi and Hizashi spoke about something Izuku couldn't concentrate on. His ears were picking up every sound despite the fact that his hearing was quite poor. His eyes flashed around and analyzing every single movement. At moments like this, Izuku loved his hair longer. It covered his eyes and anxiety flushed cheeks. It helped him disappear slightly. Don't worry, Hitoshi spoke softly. I'll introduce you properly to the idiots that hang around me. They're really nice. Izuku didn't care about that right now, watching as Toya and Toga waved once more before going in the opposite direction for Nezu's office. Hizashi taking a left to his homeroom. Home? Izuku's voice cracked quietly as he planted his feet down. Shota and Hitoshi paused as a few students passed with questioning looks, the purple-haired boy only sending ferocious stares back. Shota's face morphed into something of guilt as his eyes softened. It's going to be okay. You don't have to do anything, and besides, the first day is always the most nerve-wracking. You just need to get it over with. No, none of these people understood. Izuku loved learning. He loved meeting new people, but he hates school. He was only hurt at school, treated worse than dirt, and everyone hated him, even the teachers. Does that mean Shota, Hizashi, and Hitoshi would start to hate him? Izuku didn't want to find out. He was tugged along as his brain quickly switched into autopilot, eyes glossing over as Shota led him to the classroom and opened the door. Very few students already gathered together. Morning, Sensei. Izuku remembered the pink-haired girl as Ashido, as her eyes widened. Do we have a new student? You never told us that. All the attention was quickly switched over to Izuku. Even though there were only 4 other people, Izuku's knees began to feel weak. There was Ashido, Kirishima, and a boy with glasses, and Todoroki, the last sitting by himself in the back of the room. Oh, hey man. Kirishima recognized him immediately. You never told me you'd be... What? This is awesome. Okay, guys, this is Izuku. We met the other day by accident. Izuku, that's Ashido, Ida, and Todoroki. Greetings, Ida pronounced as Izuku stepped closer to Shota, only realizing the man wasn't there anymore. A yellow sleeping bag was already out, and the insomniac was out clothed, sleeping like the dead. I'm Tenya Ida, the class representative of Class 1A. I apologize, we had not been provided this information beforehand. Stand down there, hard ass, Hitoshi gruffed. Izuku isn't the president of the United States or some shit. That type of language is very unprofessional. Ida frowned tightly. How many more times do I have to tell you? Suck my balls, mate. Anyways, Izuku, let me show you where you sit. Izuku hadn't even got a word out before he was promptly tugged further into the class, Ida's mouth hanging open in appalled expression as Ashido was covering her face while giggling. Kirishima doing the same. It's not funny, Ida cried from behind him as Hitoshi smirked. This is where I sit, which means you're right behind me. Izuku nodded, understanding. Behind you is Yayorozu. She's really nice, a little shy. Next to you will be Sero, super chill too. He's one of my friends, I guess. You guess? Izuku jumped and whirled around, pulling a fist back and preparing to attack as Sero held his hands up beside his head. Whoa, man, my bad. Kirishima and Ashido were there in a heartbeat, as Izuku knew Kirishima was just spilled his little secret as a girl were wide eyes. Are you seriously Chaos? I thought you were, like, dead. I did. Sero chuckled. You're funny. What the hell's going on? Aizawa never tells us jack shit. Hitoshi watched Izuku as he tried to be comforted by the short boy rubbing the back of his neck. It was a deal with the law. I go to school and stop vigilantism instead of jail. Sounds like a good deal to me, Ashido jumped. And you can totally hang out with us, the cool kids. Nothing about us is cool, Hitoshi deadpanned, as Sero flipped him off. Don't listen to him, Izuku. We're the coolest. Izuku nodded and offered a weak smile as he sat down at his new desk, allowing Hitoshi's odd friend group to hide him from the others. That was until Kaminari rolled in. Ayo, new week. You already know. Hi. The blonde leaned right into Izuku's face, as the greenette had to lean back in his seat. I'm Denki Kaminari. What are you doing here? Izuku's new to our class, Hitoshi interrupted as he pulled Kaminari back by the hair. Do you have any manners? Manners are boring. Izuku was surprised there weren't more questions flying at him, but it was thanks to Hitoshi's skill of deflecting that he was able to escape most students. Excuse me, he mumbled as he made his way back to the front of the class and crouched by Shota's head, tapping him several times when the bell rang, causing him to fall back on his ass in shock. Shota rose like a zombie and scooped Izuku back up without hesitation. Everyone shut up and listen to me. Yes, everyone did. Izuku hid behind Shota like some sort of kindergartner until he was jostled forward to the front. This is the new student of ours. He'll be joining us starting today. And yes, this is someone I'm sure you recognize from USJ, but drop that, it's for the best. Don't jump him or scare him like you do with everyone else. Now, Izuku, why don't you? Izuku's eyes widened as someone stood up loudly from their desk, slamming their hands onto the surface and with a voice enough to make Izuku want to crumble. Deku? Katsuki isn't having the best day. First off, Mondays were always fucking ass, since Yue always encouraged, as she puts it, start off the week right, meaning he has to have an hour of therapy session every Monday morning before school. He sat there stupidly as Yue kept asking questions that which made no sense to him, but he did his best to answer them anyway. The faster he gets better, the faster he can stop attending these shithole lessons. And you have school today, right? Katsuki rolled his eyes and leaned back further into the couch. Obviously I have fucking school today. It's Monday. Yue hummed. Yes, but you've had quite a few days off after the USJ incident, right? Yeah, so? So I'm just asking Bakugo. Yue sighed quietly. Katsuki could tell she was more tired than usual. But what's your fucking problem today? He asked the young woman, his arms in a slight defensive manner as he looked to the side. From the corner of his eye, he noticed Yue sit up a little straighter with wide eyes, writing something down before smiling. Thank you for asking, Bakugo. I just didn't sleep well, that's all. Katsuki clicked her tongue. Yeah, whatever. Can't deal with you sighing and shit. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't even notice. But what about you? You seem a little more upset than you usually are during our last session. Did something happen? Katsuki ignored the question and looked at his shoes as Yue continued. Maybe at school? I can imagine hero training wouldn't be easy all the time. You got that shit right, Katsuki huffed. But just dumb extras at school. What do you mean? Did you have a fight with a friend? Kirishima, was it? Katsuki's eyes knitted together as he played with the fabric of his school blazer. Shitty hair and I aren't friends. He's annoying and stupid and loud. Got that? Yes, sure, Bakugo. And he got hurt during the USJ because he jumped in front of me. But I didn't need his fucking help, obviously. The idiot shouldn't have looking down on me, thinking I'm weak. Yue's smile faded as her expression pulled up into a subtle frown. Her feet swaying back and forth. Bakugo? What? From what you told me, Kirishima wasn't looking down on you in any way. If I'm honest, I'm struggling to see your point of view. How was he looking down on you? Katsuki's hands balled up to a fist and he stood up from the couch. Because, Pasty, I don't appreciate that nickname, Bakugo. I can't control my paleness of my skin. I've told you this, and it hurts my feelings. I don't fucking care. He was looking down on me. Everyone looks down on me thinking I can't handle myself. I could have stopped the villain without shitty hair, but he jumped in like an absolute idiot. Yue's face was no longer playful as she glared up at Katsuki, then pointed to the couch with her end of the pen. Sit down, now, Bakugo. There is no need for all this aggression. Katsuki scoffed loudly and threw himself back on the couch as Yue shook her head sadly. I thought perhaps we were becoming friends, Bakugo. I wanted to start off by telling you that you hurt my feelings and you dismissed my words and feelings. No one likes that to happen to them. Perhaps you've actually experienced that before. So I'm sure you know what it's like. Secondly, I'm going to be brash because this seems to help you understand. Yue leaned back and maintained eye contact with Katsuki. Kirishima was not looking down on you. He was helping you because that's what friends do. It's clear to me that Kirishima sees you as a friend, even if you don't return those feelings. He stopped the villain simply because that's what heroes do. Don't you agree? If the roles were reversed, would you help Kirishima? That's not the same, but it is. If Kirishima were in harm's way, would you just watch? Just sit by and let it happen? No, but that's because I'm fucking stronger than him. I'm the strongest. Bakugo. Yue's tone was sad. You are strong, but Bakugo, sit down. Bakugo. Kirishima is strong too. He did what he did, not to look down on you, but because he was looking out for you. This is something I cannot help you with, because you need to see it yourself, and keeping this in mind the next time you see Kirishima. You don't know what he's been through, or what he's going through. Be kind. Yue sighed and placed her papers down. And your late friend, you speak of him in the same way. You simply cannot look through this world through a black and white lens, kid. Nothing in this world is black and white. You need to learn that before it's too late. Katsuki stood and pointed a finger in Yue's face, but the pale woman simply waved her hand. That's all for today, Bakugo. Have a nice day at school, alright? Yue stood and opened the door for Katsuki, the blonde still standing at the couch with his fingers pointing at nothing but air. Whatever. He finally huffed and stomped by. I'm fucking kind, by the way. Yue hummed. See you on Wednesday, Bakugo. Fuck off. Despite the anger Katsuki was feeling build up, he waited quietly by the desk until he was waved up. Why, hello, Bakugo. Usual time for Wednesday, right? He sighed quietly. Yes, Miss Kaya. All right. I'll shoot your mom a message, okay? You better hurry. The morning bus will be in there any second. Don't want you to be late for school. Whatever. Katsuki mumbled as he pulled his bag over his shoulder. The woman with black eyes beamed, and he called after he left. I hope you have a super day, Bakugo. Katsuki flipped her off with both of his hands and kicked open the door, shutting his eyes immediately to shield himself from the bright morning sun. The bus decently quiet, as one of the students, Sparkles or some shit, sat in his usual spot at the front of the bus. Katsuki had to ride in the bus with Sparkles every morning and every Wednesday and Friday after school, and the blonde never spoke to him. Seemed something changed today. Bonjour, mon ami. Katsuki turned up the volume on his music and shoved his earbuds in further, only for the string to be yanked out by a purple-eyed boy. Fuck off, extra, Katsuki grumbled and with a threatening voice, but Sparkles only took the empty seat beside him and smiled. You must live around here, yes? I thought I was the only one of our class for this area. Katsuki didn't care. He didn't. But for some reason, he responded. No, the fuck I don't. Just happen to visit the place around here. Sparkles nodded. Like a grandmother? There's no cafes or shops around here, so I can imagine that you would be visiting every other day. Katsuki stared out at the window, ignoring the comment, because he'd rather die than expose himself as what it was. Mentally deficient? Shut up before I punch that dazzle right out of your eyes. He settled on. Sparkles backing up ever so slightly, but the smile never wavering. So, have you and Kirishima made up yet? He's like your only ami. Shut up! Sparkles didn't catch the memo as he continued. It seems to me that Kirishima was the only one speaking to you out of his own will, and you don't bite his head off. And now it's been days since you've last spoken. Sparky boy, better not. Listen here, you slimy ass piece of string. Katsuki leaned in. Keep talking. I'm looking for the perfect opportunity to snap someone right in half right now. Is this you volunteering? Sparkles pierced his lips for a moment with the sparse others on the bus staring at the commotion. It's not like the passing buildings were more entertaining. Just when Katsuki thought he broke Sparkles, the blonde gasped dramatically and slammed a hand against his own chest. Did I just get a hate crime by a hero student? Katsuki's blood was boiling. What the fuck does that mean? Sparkles stood up quickly as they arrived at their stop, twirling around as Katsuki chased him down the sidewalk. I totally just got hate crimed. How rude, mon petit garçon. Keep speaking French, you little fucker, and maybe I'll get a baguette to shove up your ass. Excuse-moi? I'm gluten-free. My tummy is very sensitive. Before Katsuki went on a full rampage, Sparkle took off in sprinting pace past the school gates, snickering to himself as he escaped death that was most likely coming for him. If Katsuki was mad because of UA, Sparkles only made it worse. He shoved his earphones back in and stomped through the halls with his hands slacked in his pockets and shoulders pressed up to his ears, watching the feet in front of him scramble out of his path. Good call by the extras. Red Eye stayed glued to the ground as Katsuki threw himself into a seat, his phone beeping and turned down the volume because of his setting the old had set. He couldn't figure out how to turn it off. Every time he exceeded a certain volume, his phone automatically turned it back down. Something about protecting his hearing or some shit. It pissed him off, too. Katsuki was just not having a good morning. Katsuki didn't hear the bell ring, but when Aizawa rose from his lump on the ground, he got the cue and put his phone away, pulling any spare work that he could start on as Aizawa blabbled on about some shit he didn't care about. Until suddenly, he really fucking cared. His pupils dilated as he looked at the stranger in front of the class, hanging off Aizawa like a lost child. Their face was difficult to see. It was underneath a heap of forest green curls. But the moment they looked up and Katsuki caught wind of the freckles, dark eyelashes, thin lips, he knew from the way they shook, the way their hands balled up into fists at the sides until they reached a familiar manner, pinching their bottom lip in thought. Green eyes flickered with analysis practically written on them, and Katsuki knew. He knew it was impossible, but he fucking knew. The anger in his gut exploded as he stood up from his desk, slamming both hands on the surface, shouting with everything he had, "Deku?" Izuku's eyes snapped as he heard the nickname he hasn't heard in so long, and it caused him to flinch. "Bakugo, don't interrupt me," Shota began, but he didn't get very far as Kachan stepped into the aisle of the desk as Hitoshi did the same, scarf flying around his body and ready to be warped if necessary. "Shut the fuck up, and what the hell is he doing here?" Katsuki spat, with the others mumbling quietly amongst themselves. Shota frowned in confusion. "Deku, I know it's you. What, you're just gonna fucking run away again?" Izuku's hands were trembling as he backed up against a wall, the phantom pains from his burns beginning to spark up more than usual. "You're dead," he sneered. My old hat had a funeral for you. She cried over you. Both my old people. And you have the balls to show your face up in front of me?" Cut. Izuku stammered, cursing internally with his lack of words. Why was he being such a coward now? He's a fucking vigilante, for God's sake. He literally died. How can something be scarier than death? Cut. Kachan mocked him. "Speak the fuck up, Deku. Where the hell you been? I'm gonna kill you for real this time, you son of a bitch," Kachan said in a raspy voice, sparks falling from his hands until they stopped suddenly, Shota's eyes glowing red. "Bakugo, what are you doing? Stay out of this," Kachan barked back as several students gasped. "This has nothing to do with you. You are in my classroom. Obviously this has everything to do with..." Shota stopped as Izuku gripped his elbow and shook his head. Shota understood. At least Izuku hoped. Izuku took a careful step and finally picked his head up, tucked his hair behind his ears, and eyes knitted together. Kachan. Don't Kachan me, you asshole. You motherfucking dipshit of an asshole. The blonde voice cracked as he screamed. "What the fuck? Kachan, Auntie died and you... what? Decided to go on a little life adventure, leaving everything to my parents to deal with? Kachan, was this all funny to you? Did you enjoy my family suffering? Not knowing where the fuck you were? Some big prank of yours? Kachan, no, it's because you're a coward, isn't it? Running away was easier for you than facing the music." Izuku charged, pivoting one leg and the other swinging around and slamming into Kachan's side, sending him tumbling across the room into Ashido's desk, Hitoshi's jaw flying open. Shut the fuck up and let me speak, Izuku shrieked, painting in anger and tears welling up in his eyes. How dare you? Izuku mumbled as his hands were clenched into fists at his side. Kacchan still sitting on his ass, gripping his ribs. How dare you play the victim here? How dare you? His voice was climbing an octave, and the volume of his spit flew from his mouth. How fucking dare you? How He choked on a breath as he resisted the urge to punch a hole through every single object in the room. Isn't this what you wanted? Your wish to come true? Kacchan looked up. What? How did you put it again? I can't. Right. No one will fucking miss a fucking Deku like me. And what was the other part? Oh, right. I can't do shit, right? I'm too much of a coward to even kill myself. But you thought I did, didn't you? Kacchan stood up as smoke billowed from his hands, but Izuku wasn't going to back down. No, he wasn't a coward like Kacchan thought he was. What shit are you on about? Bakugo barked. You're fucking crazy, aren't you? Izuku laughed, a high-pitched shrill as Kacchan took a half step back. Crazy? Am I crazy? Yeah, I'm fucking crazy. Izuku. Shota moved closer, but Izuku ignored the man. Did you tell me to kill myself so many times, and you can't remember the day? Why, Kacchan? No, Katsuki. Katsuki. Izuku chuckled again. It's the day my mom died. Ironic, isn't it? You wanted one Midoriya to die, but got the wrong one. So funny. So funny. Laugh. It's a joke. Aren't I funny? No. Katsuki screamed. How the fuck is this funny to you? How sick did you have to be? I thought you died. I thought you did something. I did die. Izuku thought cheerfully. I died 3 times. I think it was. Don't you recognize me yet? Katsuki thinned his eyes as Izuku pulled a knife from his pocket and threw it straight at Katsuki, the blade just nicking his cheek before impaling into the wall. Come now, think. Katsuki took another shuddered step back. No. Yes. Aha. Isn't it funny yet? You wanted me to die for so long, and I did. I died because of you. Izuku laughed, and he covered his mouth, clutching his gut in laughter that only grew, watching as his tears began to hit the ground around his feet. So funny, he sighed slowly, as he tilted his head back up and looked at the ceiling. It's all so funny. Katsuki was going to throw up. The world around him was warping, leaving the only clear image was a shadow of Deku standing in front of him, laughing like there's the most amusing thing to ever exist. The vigilante from USJ, the one that was almost brutally murdered because Katsuki couldn't defeat the villains. He was standing right here, right in arm's length, laughing until tears fell from his green, dead eyes. That's the ironic part of it all, really. Katsuki thought Deku was dead, and now the boy standing in front of him, he might as well be. This is not the Deku Katsuki can recognize. This whole thing was truly ironic. Deku? Katsuki whispered, What the hell is wrong with you? Deku slowly stopped laughing before his eyes snapped back over to Katsuki. His pupils were small as pinpricks, his tongue running back and forward over his bottom lip. Well, I'm quirkless, right? Isn't that what's wrong with me? Katsuki clutched his side of his torso a little harder. That kick from Deku definitely fractured his ribs at the bare minimum. How did this scrawny kid, useless kid like that, so... Katsuki... Did you forget about me for a moment? Katsuki's hand shook. This isn't fucking funny. You should be dead. Does it make you sad that I'm not dead? Katsuki's eyes widened as Izuku took another step forward, shitty hair hesitantly getting up from his seat as well. Should I try it again, Katsuki? No! Katsuki shouted. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Fuck, I can't believe I cried over you. Did you now? Izuku smiled. How kind. Shut up. Katsuki snapped again, hot tears beginning to blend in with blood on down his cheeks. You should be dead. You keep saying that, Izuku whispered as he lunged forward, grabbing the front of Izuku's shirt. So, does it make you sad that I'm still here, still around? Because I'm, such a quirkless fuck? Because I deserve to die? You win, Katsuki. I can admit it now. I agree with you. Katsuki's eyes widened as the handle was pressed into his open palm. Izuku smiled so wide, his eyes beginning to wrinkle, tears falling from them as well. Do it. Do what? Katsuki coaxed back as Izuku forced his fingers to close around the handle. Small, cold hands guided Katsuki's hand up by the wrist until the tip of the blade was pressed against Izuku's throat, Katsuki noticing the strange handprint of a scar plastered over his neck. Katsuki began to register what happened as Izuku pulled his hand closer, dropping a drop of blood coming from the boy's throat and running down his neck, eyes wide and unstable. Deku! Katsuki shouted as Izuku just laughed, not allowing Katsuki to pull his hand back. Do it then. Take out the useless, quirkless fuck no one wants. Be a hero and kill me. Kill me. Katsuki, kill the monster. More blood spewed out as the two pairs of hands came into view. Aizawa yanked Deku back as hard as the purple fucker grabbed Katsuki's wrist, pulling the knife out of his grasp. Kill me! Deku kept screaming over and over again as Aizawa held him onto the ground, pinning his arms after the greenette ripped a large chunk out of his hair. It's so funny, Shota. Isn't it funny? Izuku's green eyes stayed stuck on Katsuki as the purple fuck ushered all the others out of the room. Elbows, Sparky, and Ashido helping him. Holy shit, he heard Roundfish whisper. Poor guy. I had an uncle who did this, Tails mumbled. Called a psychotic break. I haven't seen him since. Psychotic break? Ponytail to read it? Yes, I've heard of that before. This must be very serious then. Don't people like that stay in, like, an insane asylum or something? The invisible chick asked. What is he doing here? Katsuki could only stand beside the doorway in heavy breathing as the room cleared out. Deku was still pinned on the ground, repeating the same sentence over again. Aizawa was trying to talk to him only to be ignored. Asshole. Katsuki started to turn to the right, purple fuck red-faced with anger. I said get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here before I do something I regret. Katsuki's mouth opened and closed as he looked down at his hand that had previously held the knife. A drop of Deku's blood stained the pad of his thumb. Bright red, still warm. Bakugo? A hand wrapped around his biceps as he was pulled out the door. Come on. Shitty Hair refused to meet his eyes as his stayed glared onto the ground. That was only making Katsuki more anxious as he was pulled down the hall in a daze. President Mike sprinted past with All Might holding Nezu on his tail. Two strangers Katsuki didn't recognize. A detective, he remembered from USJ. Was that Pro Hero Hawks? The class waited awkwardly in the classroom of Class 3B, where President Mike must have been teaching at the time. The older students asking questions. Wait, like the Vigilante Chaos? The girl with rainbow-colored hair asked. What are they doing here? Well, I overheard Kirishima say that they made a deal to become a student instead of going to jail, Earlobes responded. Actually, I think I saw the other vigilante earlier. The boy with blonde hair spoke loudly. Short blonde hair with two buns, yellow eyes, right? Morphine, I think her name is. She was with an older man, with white hair, with all the burns all over him. I assume he was Blaze. I guess they all received the same deal? What they did was illegal, Classes spoke stiffly. They should be in jail. I admire their skill, but that doesn't mean that they should be allowed to walk free. I don't know, Sparkles sighed. They saved our lives. They saved many lives before. Vigilante, hero, villain, they're all just titles. It's the actions that make us who we are. Katsuki couldn't take this anymore. He could feel the judgmental stares from his classmates. They heard everything. Everything. And Deku was alive. But was he really? Was he really alive? Oh god. Katsuki has thought a lot about what he said if he got a chance to speak to Deku again. And he did. But he did that bullshit. You're not the victim. The world isn't black and white. Katsuki couldn't keep the horrified expression at bay as he scrubbed his eyes of tears, turning and dashing from the room as bile began to climb up his throat. What happened to Izuku Midoriya? Katsuki stepped into the bathroom stall, falling to his knees, dry heaving over the toilet until he threw up several times, vomit burning his throat, tears dribbling down his face, the scent of his throw up making his burn in shame. He was a horrible person, a horrible, horrible person that couldn't even keep his fucking mouth shut. And you're okay? A calloused hand rubbed up and down Katsuki's spine as he threw up again, his hands moving up in face, keeping his baby hairs out of the way. Katsuki could see shitty hair from the corner of his eyes, with tears of his own. Still refusing to make eye contact with Katsuki, let a loud cry slip, followed by more vomiting and more sobs. This was humiliating. This was embarrassing. This was traumatizing. This isn't about you, Bakugo. Shitty hair leaned against the side of the wall with his arms crossed and staring down at his shoes. Stop feeling guilty about yourself, because Izuku's right. You're not the victim in this. I don't know the whole story, but I'm sure you were hurt along the way, but you're not the victim. Katsuki looked over to Shitty Hair hesitatively, the redhead still crying softly as he wiped his tears. Finally looking over to Katsuki, the blonde coughed. Shitty Hair, don't apologize to me. And it's Kirishima, not Shitty Hair. Not right now. The redhead pushed the stall door open and left, his footsteps fading as Katsuki was alone again, this time truly alone. This wasn't about him. This wasn't about him. Izuku blinked. He blinked again. His eyes adjusted to the bright light hung above his face, and he turned his head to the side. The rest of the room was dark and empty. Izuku tried to sit up, only to find his wrist trapped against a cold side of a medical cloth. The letter was not painful, but not comfortable. It wasn't the texture or tightness causing the irritation. The pain was because of something Izuku did. Something he shouldn't have. Hopefully, no one caught wind of the bandages winding up his arms. His torso was strapped down as well, along with his thighs and ankles, his eyes darting around, trying to access the situation. What happened? Why is his neck sore? Why is his throat so dry? Why does his eyes feel swollen? Hello? Izuku called out to the empty room, turning his head to see a large tinted window. Oh. Hi, he shouted a little louder. Can I get out? Izuku, can you hear me? The greenette piped up at the sound of Shota's voice coming from some sort of speaker as he responded. Yeah, what's going on? You're scaring me. You're okay. You're okay. Shota spoke slowly. I need you to calm down. Everything's fine and you're safe. Do you understand? Izuku nodded. No, I need you to repeat after me. Do you understand? I understand. Izuku mimicked slowly. But my wrist hurts. I can't come in unless you answer my questions, Shota said a little more quietly. So can you answer honestly? Yes, Izuku said, more of a question than an answer as he continued to stare at the glass, hopefully looking at the right spot. Alright, do you know where we are? Izuku looked around again. No, I don't recognize this place. Where were we before? Izuku bit his lip hard as his eyebrows furrowed together, trying to piece back his thoughts and memories. I woke up early today. He spoke more to himself. What? Everyone. So. Oh, we're at UA. Good. Can you name any of my students you can remember interacting with? This question was more difficult for Izuku. He flexed and reflexed his toes, now noticing that his shoes and socks had been removed. So was his blazer. Yet the white undershirt was still along his green pants. That's good. Izuku, the boy startled. Sorry, just was thinking. He pursed his lips and huffed. Hitoshi? Good. Anyone else? I talked to Toshi's friends. Which are? Fuck. Kirishima? And Sero and, I forgot her name. The pink girl. And Denki. That's good. You're doing very good. It was silent for a moment, and Izuku thought maybe that all the questions had been answered, but Shota's voice came back. Anyone else? Izuku rubbed his head against the pillow. Nope. I don't think so. I'm gonna say a name, and you're gonna tell me what you think of that person. Izuku hummed in understanding, but he didn't actually know anyone else in Hitoshi's class. There was a boy with glasses, Ida, was it? But Izuku had no thoughts about any others. Katsuki Bakugo. Izuku tried to get up from his cot immediately, the leather straps digging into his skin as he gave up the struggle quickly. Izuku? I want to go home now. Izuku's breathing picked up as he scanned the room again. Was Kachan here? Could Kachan be mad that he was at the hero school as a quirkless? Do it then. Take out the useless, quirkless fuck no one wants. Izuku froze as his eyes widened in remembrance, the memories flooding back in his mind before he had a chance to blink, the tears spewing out immediately as Izuku looked at the glass. Shota! There was a silence as Izuku screamed, Shota! I'm scared. Something behind the glass fell hard as Izuku thrashed more, still wailing for the black-haired man until the door bursted open. Shota ran in, Detective Tsukachi shouting behind him to stop. Shota! Izuku screeched as the cold hands touched his face. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Shota was crying for some reason. Izuku couldn't understand why. Why was this man crying? Was he injured? Was he sad? Why was he sad? Izuku stared at Shota as the man removed the scraps from his body, his hands jerky and finicky as he breathed heavily. Black eyes wide and frantic. Shota! Izuku sobbed again as the man grabbed under his armpit roughly and picked him up effortlessly. Yet, the boy automatically wrapped his arms around Shota's neck and latched onto his legs around his muscular torso, sobbing into his neck. Shota slowly lowered to the ground until he was kneeling, still holding Izuku lightly as he hesitatively rubbed his curls, pushing his hair from Izuku's eyes and whispering words to the brunette couldn't pay attention to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Shota's voice cracked. I didn't know. I thought you two were friends. I should have been more careful. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're okay. We'll try again another time, okay? No rush. Tsukachi's gonna help us. It's okay. Izuku cried harder as the hands balled into the back of Shota's shirt. Can I tell you something? Shota inhaled sharply. Of course, Kit. I love you. Shota leaned back slightly. What? Izuku didn't look up as he repeated himself hesitantly. Love you. Shota's grip tightened as he chuckled wetly. Love you too, brat. Thanks. Yeah, try again later. Izuku hummed. Maybe. Maybe it is. Oh, that was so sweet. Oh, my little heart. I couldn't take it, but I did it. So I have a few ideas. So, I am planning of doing an experiment. But also I want to know y'all advice. Should I have like some footage recorded? Like, you know, like Honkai, because that's what I've been playing, Genshin, like some type of game playing in the background as I'm reading. So I want to know y'all guys' opinion. Do you like the idea of watching me play while I'm reading the story to you guys? I want to know your input. Of course. Okay, so if you want to see more, you know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, you know, and answer my question. That would be very nice. Bye.